Hello and welcome to the Zakariya Adeel podcast. I'm your humble host, Zakariya Adeel, and we have a returning guest, somebody who you all want to see more of course. It's the wonderful Richard Grannon. Oh, that's not a very good introduction. I can't. That's
The
not
wonderful
very...
and sweaty.
It's like so
Richard
like drained of energy.
Nobody wants to see more of me right now. I'm a sweating mess. I'm just fresh from the gym, and my metabolism is still running a little high, so I'm still perspiring. Apologies for that.
All right. Well, excuse me for my really bad introduction, but yeah, Richard Grannon is going to be here with us, and we're going to go through the cards of the Minor Arcana. So, I remember when we spoke last time, you said you're actually more up on the Major Arcana because those cards are so iconic and reflective of certain archetypical rites of passage circumstances that people find themselves in their lives. And also, I've just watched a video of yours talking about the Tower card, that you feel like you've been in a bit of a Tower phase recently.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really read the cards that much for people. Like recently, well, I actually stopped reading the cards. But like, if you were going to ask me about anything to do with stress or mental pain in the sword section, I'd be up on it. But yeah, when it comes to the Minor Arcana, there are certain cards I have an association with, and certain ones that I don't. But yes, I am very much in a Tower phase personally. It feels like the Tower hasn't quite hit the floor yet. We're still dropping.
Okay, well, hopefully this little chat will uplift your spirit somewhat. We'll try and do that. So, all right, let's go straight into it. The Minor Arcana. Let's start with the aces. Now we've got the Ace of Swords, Ace of Pentacles. I don't know how I'm going to do this really. There's four of them, and then there's Ace
There's
of
four
Wands.
of them, and you only have two hands.
I only have two hands. It would help if I was a Hindu god right now. Yeah, so the Ace of Wands and the Ace of Cups as well. So they are going to show up on the screen so other people can see them. Cool. But if we sort of look at this one right now, the Ace of Swords. When this one comes up, what comes to you?
Immediately, I think of the SAS.
Oh yeah, we did discuss this one a bit, didn't we?
Yeah, the Special Air Services and the sword in Buddhism that cuts through Maya. I think in Buddhism it's typically shown upright, cutting through Maya. In the SAS symbology, it's downward, as it is in the. Oh no! In some tarot it's down, in some it's up. Oh, it's up.
It just depends. In this one, this is the Rider-Waite pack. So yeah, but it does vary. You know, sometimes there's different pictures as well.
When it's cutting down, I tend to think. I think of the motto, who dares wins, and I think of cutting to the heart of the matter and just getting straight to the point. A kind of Zen archery moment where you just hit right into the mark. Obviously, it's a card of the air, so it's the mind. So we're not coming from emotion here. We're coming from mental, intellectual, crown chakra energy, decision making.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, I always think of this card of I will force my way to my victory. One way or another, I will get my victory. I will get my success. And there are three cards of victory, this being one of them. The other is the Six of Wands, which we will come to, and the Chariot card. Those are the three cards of victory. So if those three cards come together and you're wanting to know if you're going to be successful at something, it's a very good sign. All right. Let's move on to the Ace of Pentacles. What does this tell you of?
She's just going to be minted. You're just going to have all the friggin' money in the world. It's for me, when that comes up, I would always say it's the material. It's the material world. It could be money, but it might be the kinds of pleasures that money could buy. It's definitely of this world. It's of the material plane. And on abundance, a sort of it's a card where if somebody was worried about money, they wouldn't need to worry as much about money.
Yeah, and because it's the first one, it also means new beginnings. That all of the aces are about new beginnings and new starts. So oftentimes for me this is the new job card, and oftentimes this comes up as somebody's asking about what's happening with my work, and this card comes up. It's like, are you sure you're in the right job? Maybe you want to do something different. Maybe it's time. And this card comes up. It's a very good sign. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, abundance, money, in the early stages of putting those plans together.
And there's something with the ace of anything, isn't there? Like, if you've aced something, it's like the peak of something. It's you know, it could, like you say, it could be a big change, and generally it's success. It's successful. It's a success related card, right?
Yeah, it's a very positive card. Yeah. And also, I always think like the cards could be for anything. So like, I remember one time when I was doing a reading for somebody, they were looking to buy a house, and they weren't sure whether to go to the country or whether to go stay in the city, or they were in two minds. And when this card came up with a country background, it was like, you know, be closer to the earth. It was a sign. They did eventually move to the country, and they're very happy there as well. So what about the Ace of Cups?
An abundance of love, an abundance of certainly of emotion, and typically I would associate it with positive emotion and love, for sure.
Yeah, my cup runneth over. My cup runneth over with positive emotion. What's in the cup is for me, and what's outside of the cup is for you. So yeah, new love, new relationships, new friendships. Also, the birth of a baby is signified by this card. It's a beautiful card.
Actually, just as I was coming into the house there, I was reminded of a dream I had years ago, where I was actually, it was about floods and water, and there was that imagery again of like, for us in the West, water is the unconscious. In the tarot, which isn't necessarily Western, it's sort of Middle Eastern, it's emotion. But in China, it's money. It's actually money flowing. It just occurred to me as I walked in through the door before.
It is interesting, isn't it, how the elements can mean different things in different parts of the world? Because obviously, I when I do my astrology, I'm primarily a Chinese astrologer, primarily Eastern astrologer. So I use you know, they've got 5 elements in the Chinese system and 4 elements in the Western. But because I mix it with the Western astrology, I choose to use the 4 Western elements because it's far better divisible by 144. 12 times 12 is 144 archetypes.
Right.
And 4 is better divisible by that. So it just makes it more sense. If it was 5, it was going to complicate things. So I chose to use the Western elements. But it does get confusing because the Chinese world understands the elements differently to the Western world.
Yes. Are you on Instagram?
Yeah, but I don't use those things.
Come on. Do you know how many people I could send your way? I just realized, yes, you're primarily a Chinese astrologer, but you can very quickly, without looking it up. If I said to you, oh, this person is Horse Scorpio with a Leo rabbit, you know, and you even know the celebrities who are like that.
Yeah, I do.
You would kill it on Instagram.
You know what?
A ton of people would love to see that.
Just this week, one of the reasons why I'm doing this with you is just this week I've had some people really push me to do it. So I thought, okay, I'll do this interview with you. I'll release this, and then I will start doing readings on TikTok. They said TikTok and Instagram. I've got an Instagram account. I don't really use it very often, but they said get on TikTok, get on Instagram. So I will do.
Well, I mean, one of the things you'd have to set up is like, I'm not doing this for free, but if you want to know just on the relationship side of things, what the outlook is for somebody who is this in Chinese astrology and this in Western astrology, that you could do it for them, because it's fascinating. It's
this
absolutely
is what I did
fascinating.
on the Psychic TV show I used to be on. It was
Oh,
mostly
really?
that. People used to call in for the compatibilities and what's going to happen. And so, yeah, we'll talk this compatibilities with the astrology, and then I'd go into the cards. I mean, I was very busy.
I'm sure you will. I mean, if you want a bump on Instagram, I could send a lot of people your way for sure, and they'd be fascinated, I'm sure.
Okay, maybe not yet. Maybe let me get it started, and then I'll ask you.
When you're ready. Otherwise, you'll just be flooded.
No, I want to get myself set up properly, and then maybe. No, maybe. Then yes. Yeah.
Then yes, let's do it.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Definitely.
He's got the Ace of Wands in his hands, and he's being
as I say that. If that isn't synchronicity, what is? All right. So the Ace of Wands.
Got to be time to take action, move forward, be assertive, and go for it.
Yeah. Also, I always think of this as the new business card rather than the Ace of. This is like a new job. This is more like a new business, new venture that you take into your own hands. It's also the fire one. It's also a phallic symbol as well. It's a single phallic symbol, so it's quite a masculine card. This is a yang card. This is a yin card. This is a yin card, and this is a yang card. So by the suits. So this is air, which is masculine, which is yang. This one is earth, feminine, yin.
And she's holding it. Like
holding
this.
it, yes, beautifully.
Yeah, like that.
Gently.
Yeah.
And this is masculine, yang, the suit of fire.
The thumb up the wand.
So, and then water, which is yin, feminine. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's move on to the twos. Okay, we'll start with this one. What's this card mean to you?
Oh, God.
Two of Swords.
Well, yeah. A decision, but probably not a very comfortable one. Probably not a particularly happy decision. You got the moon there in the background. The moon card in the Major Arcana can be related to deception, illusion, even espionage. And the person who's holding these two swords is blindfolded.
Yeah.
Trying to make a balanced intellectual decision. Probably not a very comfortable decision to be made here.
Also, the symbolic of the card of justice as well, with the blindfold and with the sword in the hand, but this time there's two. So which way do you go? Which choice do you make? Which decision is the best one for you? Card means dilemma, and there are two roads open to you. You're not sure, it's quite balanced, you're not sure which one to take. The strange thing about this card is that oftentimes it doesn't matter which route you take, you're going to end up in the same place anyway.
This is why I always say to people, if you want a gentle reading and being guided in a direction, just choose the I Ching. If you want something that is just going to tell you the truth of things, choose the tarot, but it is a bit rough with you at times. It will just say to you, like, yeah, you have two difficult choices, they're both going to lead to the same place.
Ultimately it does. Because your vibration is a certain way, if your vibrational frequency is a certain way, it doesn't really matter what you choose. You're going to end up going in the same direction unless you can shift your energy. That's the important thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Two of Wands.
Well, from what I recollect, this would always be, not always, but frequently was a decision about business and a certain action to be taken, maybe in an entrepreneurial scenario. But I'm not sure if my recollection is correct with that.
You might be thinking of this one.
Oh, okay. The three of Wands. Yeah. Possibly. Yeah. So what's the polarity of the two of Wands represent?
What do you mean?
Is that?
As in a positive
what does it mean between the two poles?
Right. Okay. So this one is about first of all, the globe is in your hand. The world is your oyster, right? So it can mean travel. It can mean looking at what you want to do, where you want to go, what your plans are. It's in the early stages of planning, but nothing is fully decided. It's a two. So there's duality. So there's not action yet. The action comes with three, but with the two is a period of stasis where you're making a decision. It's not like the Two of Swords where where it's a difficult decision. These are good decisions that you want to make. These are good options that you're looking at. You're just sort of mulling it over, but you're in the early stages of that. So when this card comes, it's a positive sign in that there's lots of roads open to you, lots of options available. But also, the real thing that you want to happen could occur as a miracle, especially if the card comes reversed. It's ironic, really. This card is really, really positive if it comes reversed. There's not very many cards where that's the case. But this card comes reversed, a miracle could occur.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's actually a very good card.
It's good general guidance for tarot card readers to let them know, isn't it? That in principle, all of the twos are potential. They're not action, not yet. That comes with the three. Two is just what could be. Yeah.
And here's another example of that. Two of Pentacles.
In the Osho tarot, this was always a balancing act between trying to hold different dynamic energies together. It implied a little bit of stress as well. I can't remember what the image was, but I remember for a number of years I used the Osho tarot, and that's what it was a balancing act with some degree of stress.
Osho was a sheep Sagittarius, by the way, just in case you wanted to
Okay.
know. Okay, yes. And more practically, it kind of means juggling a number of different jobs, being very, very busy. Money comes in, goes out. So you're not really, there's no extra money coming in. So it's just, it's a state of balance. And also, you're keeping yourself busy so you can distract yourself from the shit that's happening in the background. You see, there's this kind of a ship that's on wavy waters. It's a symbol.
So it could be workaholism.
Yeah, busying yourself so you're avoiding from dealing with the issues in front of you. So if you see in the background, there's a ship that's on the rocky waters. There's two of them, and in some packs there's a ship that's sinking in the background, but it's in the background. So you're not letting it. It's not coming to the fore. You're not letting it come to the fore. You're not looking at it. You're leaving it in the background.
So stop ignoring your sinking marriage by submersing yourself in work. Pay attention. or your job that's going really badly, or your relationship you're not giving any attention to, or the thing that you need to give attention to, you're not giving attention to, and you're choosing to be busy instead. Which is one of the 4 adrenalized responses in the Pete Walker's book, isn't it? Flight response. Yeah, ADHD response. Yeah.
Okay, 2 of Cups.
Super easy. Love. People think the Lover's card is what this card is. They usually get the two confused, but this is a pretty straightforward one. It's love between 2 people.
So when you think of this the Lover's card, then what's the difference then between the 2?
So people see the Lover's card and they think, oh, everything's going to be okay. I'm going to, do this. We're going to be in love. And I would always say, no, the Lover's card, this is why I'm a bit stronger with the major ones, is I think in some decks is actually called the Decision. And the decision is always between sacred and profane love, which is beyond the realm of most people who would sit down for a reading. They'd be like, I don't want to know that. I just want to know whether I'm going to have a girlfriend or a boyfriend or whatever. But the Lover's card is a much more challenging card, the way I would have interpreted it.
Well, because there's so much unbridled passion here. Look at they're naked. They're completely naked. They're open. They're vulnerable. Whereas here, it's more civilized, I suppose.
You get civilized, yeah. And the thing with those 2 naked characters is it's how far away is it from the depiction of the Devil card? How far away are they from being chained and addicted to each other? It's I'm always people are delighted when the Lover's cards are, and I'm just like, well, slow down, just chill for a second.
Very similar.
It's the only card as well. The Devil card is the only other card where people are naked. Is that right?
No, Star card as well. There's a few. Okay. There's a few, and different packs will depict them different ways. But when they are naked, it does sort of symbolize we're not hiding anything. Openness. I was going to say innocence, but I stopped myself somehow. It doesn't necessarily mean innocence. It sort of means what you see is what you get here. I'm being honest. I'm being open, vulnerable, all those things.
Even the setup of the pictures between the Devil and the Lover's card is similar. If you look at like the wings of the angel and the wings.
Oh yeah. Also the number. Look at the number. 6 and a 6, right? It's a 15. So 1 plus 5 is a 6.
Yeah.
And 6. So it's not by accident. These things are not by accident. Nothing is by accident in the tarot. They're smart buggers who put this together. All right, let's go to the 3. We've already sort of discussed this one, the business one.
Yes.
This is when you've sent out your fleet and you're waiting for the profit to return. Very, very wise business decisions that you've made. So we'll move on to slightly more hardcore one.
Nobody wants to see this. I've actually found a new interpretation for this with a slight nuance. So previously I would have always said, this is a card of somebody who is most likely being cheated on. If this is your card, you're the 3rd sword. You're not cheating on somebody. You're the one who's being cheated on. It's a love triangle. But actually, recently I found that it can show it when somebody thinks that they're being cheated on and feels like the third sword, feels like they're being left out, they can get this card.
I mean, the way I do the cards is that a certain card might instigate a certain feeling response in me. So, and I'll always go with that, because that's what you want to learn. If you want to learn to read the tarot, you need to be really sort of open to what it's going to bring to you. For me, this represents a heavy heart. So oftentimes it'll be like a stone heart. This heart is made of stone. So with a heavy heart, but with a 3, there's always activity, right? So with a heavy heart, you must carry on. No matter what is happening, you might be breaking right now. You cannot stop. You might have children to look after. You've got to carry on. So you might feel like you just need some time to yourself. Just stay in bed. I just want to sleep. You can't. With a heavy heart, you must carry on. If somebody came to me and they asked me if someone was cheating on them and this card came up, I'm like, chances are you probably are being cheated on. And you know it because of the way you feel.
Yes.
And even if they're not cheating on you, if you're feeling that way, there's something seriously wrong.
Well, there's got to be a betrayal or an abandonment, or there's more ways of cheating on people than actually, having sex with somebody else. You are being left out. There's like, I always associate it with, you feel like you're the third person in a love triangle, and you feel like you're being left out. Maybe your partner is obsessed with work or obsessed with surfing, or I don't know, but they are leaving you out.
I have observed that sometimes in relationships where people are still having sex, this is a quote from Ally McBeal, so do forgive me for watching Ally McBeal, but this is a quote from The Wisdom of Ally McBeal back in the day. But they said, that David A. Kelly was a wicked writer, though. I've got to give him that. One of the characters said, sorry, what did you say?
It was a good show. I mean, I only caught a couple of episodes, but I was like, it set a whole genre. I mean, it really did. Sorry, go on.
It was good for its time. But the line is, there's nothing lonelier than being with the wrong person. And even if you're in a relationship where the sex is good and all that sort of stuff, you might still feel like wretchedly lonely, or like there's something seriously wrong here. You might be having loads and loads of sex, and the sex might be good, but you're just completely out of sorts. And if this card comes up, it's like, explore it.
This is too close to my current experience. I'm finding this extremely triggering.
Oh dear. We'll move on then, shall we? Quickly to the 3 of Cups.
Joy, celebration, and happiness. 3 ladies dancing with the cups. Yes.
So it's also can be considered the Furies. Can be the 3 weird sisters, which is an unusual interpretation, but I do go there sometimes. Generally speaking, this is an interpretation of happiness, celebrations, success in the arts as well. It's also very positive. If somebody's asking, is my play going to do well, and this card comes up, it's very, very good.
Well, you've just added a dark interpretation. This could be the celebration of witches who've successfully cast a dark spell.
That is true. That's possible.
What was the Shakespeare play with the 3? Was it
Macbeth?
Was it Macbeth? Macbeth.
Macbeth. Yeah.
So a successful spell could be a cause for celebration.
It depends on how you interpret it. I only mentioned that because I did interpret it that way one time because of the person that was in front of me.
No, I think it's people should know about that's actually a possibility, that just because it shows up in a reading. It's
a bit dark for the 3 of Cups. 3 of Cups is a very happy card, but it just depends on wherever, and also depends on what card it's next to as well. I can't remember. It may have been some sort of sinister card, death card, maybe, or maybe the moon
3
card.
of Swords.
3 of Swords, yeah. Maybe.
And then you find out that somebody's put a black magic spell on you and hired a Mexican to do it.
Maybe.
Yes, no, literally. But anyway, moving on.
No, what? As in recently?
Yes. I've had it done again. Another black magic spell put on me. This time with a Mexican witch. Yeah.
Well, freaking hell. No, but there's a reason why it keeps on happening to you. There's got to be a reason for it.
Well, this is twice. Yeah, this is the second time. I knew the feeling. I knew exactly the feeling. I was like, this feels the same, and I pushed the person on the sort of. Well, she is not somebody who tells me the truth, but she finally admitted that yes, she had done that.
I mean, it's too bizarre to even consider. Did she know who you were beforehand? Did she know your story before, or did somebody put her up to it, or what?
I'm not. I think, and this is somebody whose relationship with the truth is extremely weak. She learned a way of doing something from a woman who is a She met a girl, and her mother is a practicing witch, and then they got on Skype and they did a ritual that was allegedly a positive ritual that she then replicated in a negative way, so that the Mexican lady in question wouldn't be guilty of anything other than showing somebody who's a bit deranged how to do something that she shouldn't have learned how to do.
Right. Yeah. Well, let's just move on. I don't even know what to say,
Yes.
Richard. I really don't.
No, it's nobody. There is nothing to say. Let's move on.
Three of Pentacles.
I don't know. I can't remember.
This card is so rich with symbolism. So they're rebuilding a church, which is symbolic of a belief structure, because the belief structure may have been damaged, broken, and it requires rebuilding. So they're rebuilding a belief system of sorts. It's also about maybe a religious belief system, or any sort of belief system that you can think of. Also, they're fixing a church, not a house. So you need to be very qualified and very, very good at what you're doing. So this is also the card of mastery as well.
Interesting.
So it's a very, very good card. And actually, it's one that potentially relates to you. Card of mastery, card of rebuilding.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very good card. I love this card. All right, we'll move on to the fours. So after we've had that period of activity with the threes, we come to four, which is a square, which is really stationary. So this is one of the more sort of stable. This is probably the most stable number of all. So let's start off with the Four of Pentacles.
So you're saying with the ace, you have like the sudden inspiration, then you have the moment of decision with the twos, then in the three there's action, and then the action stabilizes into the world. To
stability, yeah.
So with this, the obvious interpretation would be the stabilization of money and the stabilization of income. But I've also seen it relate to people who can be a bit greedy and a bit obsessed with money and a bit miserly as well.
Yeah, and not just with their money, their resources. If you say resources, then it doesn't mean just money, it means your emotional resources as well.
Interesting.
Proper little Scrooge.
Interesting. A proper little Scrooge.
Yeah.
So this would be somebody who's withholding, secretive, non-giving.
And saving money. On the surface of it, it has two interpretations: withholding your affections, withholding your emotions, and putting money away for a rainy day, saving money, being miserly with your money. Yeah, those are the two obvious interpretations. But if the card comes out, you look at it and you see what comes to you. There can be a variety of things.
Yeah, there is a sort of. He looks a little slumped and a little. He's standing on two coins. He's got his coin on his mind, and he's gripping that one in the middle there. He's not. Yeah. It's not a giving gesture. He's in.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Anally retentive, they call them in psychoanalysis.
Yeah, I've heard that term. There we go. Four of Cups.
Is this the card of indolence and hangovers and not feeling too good after a moment of joy?
It can be interpreted that way. Can be interpreted that way. Sulking.
I think I got that from the Crowley Tarot. I think in Crowley Tarot it's called indolence.
Yeah, I can't remember what he is now. I think he's a boar something. I'm not sure. But
I'm not surprised he's a boar.
Crowley. The pig sign. Well, they're very nice people actually.
So yeah, that's what I recollect from that is the night after the Three of Cups. A little bit of a hangover and possibly feeling a bit stuck. Energetically stuck or emotionally stuck is what I recall.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, you can see that he's feeling that way by that tree. So when I interpret this card, it's like a blessing in disguise because you've got the cup that's coming out of nowhere, but you're kind of not happy with the circumstances, not happy with what's happening in your life, but things aren't that bad. Things aren't actually that bad, but you're just thinking, this isn't what I wanted. So you're sulking. You just sort of had enough of the way things are, but there's nothing actually that bad. There's three standing cups there, which are very positive, and a blessing in disguise. It's just not what you wanted.
Right. Yeah.
So the universe
So
is saying
that would,
more. Go on.
so the person who receives that maybe is being a bit spoiled and could be reminded to be more appreciative and grateful for what they have.
Yeah, because lots of things are working in their life, but they're not looking at their blessings. And also the thing that may have gone wrong actually was a good thing, but they can't see that yet. It's a blessing in disguise.
Right.
Four of Wands.
The stabilization of action. I don't remember the Four of Wands.
This is a really romantic card, actually. It's like setting up. This is the home and hearth card. I always say hearth wrong. How do you say hearth? Hearth.
I would say hearth, but it's
home
spelled
and hearth.
hearth.
Yeah, I've always said. I mean, yeah, with my freaking English degree, you think I know how to say it. Home and hearth card. So it's a setting up home romantically, setting up with a partner, and building a life. It's at the beginning of building your life. This is the stabilization of your home life.
Nice.
And
it's a lovely card.
It's a beautiful card. Yeah, very, very good. People often get this card when they're buying a house. If they're looking to buy a house and this card comes up, it's a very, very good sign. It means it will happen soon. And if they're putting an offer for a house and that card comes up, it's good. Four of Swords.
Is this rest after battle? Like you're a bit knackered and you need to stop after you've been fighting? Yeah,
that can be an interpretation. Yeah.
Right.
It's just a rest and respite card. Pulling away from the rest of the world because I just need to rejuvenate and get myself back to full strength again. But it is interesting that this. I was going to say the same thing. It's interesting about the three swords above him, almost like Damocles' sword.
I'm getting a major deja vu moment right now. I've definitely dreamt this conversation 2 weeks ago. Just proceed.
All right, cool.
This is the problem when you start looking at the tarot. Timelines start merging and moving around, and consciousness shifts all over the place.
Well, you remember last time when we were talking about tarot, and I thought I was watching you on the screen.
Yeah.
I was like, I made a conscious decision.
Watching a YouTube video. Oh.
I made a conscious decision not to do that this time. Yeah. All right. Five of Cups.
Well, I can see from the image that it's not great, but I actually can't remember. What is five generally? What's the symbolism of the fives usually?
Okay, so there is activity with five because it's an odd number. So this is probably more symbolic of a five.
Okay.
Because it's the poverty and neglect card. It's not. The five isn't a lucky number. It can be a useful number. Like for example, boy bands and girl bands tend to be in fives. They tend to work better for some reason. But it's not. It's not known as a lucky number. Whereas 7 is very lucky. It's an odd number. And it's a lucky number. But 5 is kind of that number of. I always think of this card and this energy with a 5.
Okay, so it leads to destitution and poverty with a 5.
It leads to a sense of not being connected to it, to the world that's actually happening. This is you necessarily stepping outside of the world to be by yourself for a second so that you can remember who you are in the context of that world. Okay. I don't even know where that came from, but I explained it very well, actually. But that's...
Yeah, that was extremely erudite. We should take that clip.
But this is... the 5 of Pentacles is the card of poverty and neglect, often self-neglect.
I actually thought the 5 of Pentacles was the card of charity.
No, that's 6 of Pentacles.
Okay. So this is poverty and self-neglect, is that okay?
Yeah. Well, somebody might be neglecting you. I mean, look, they're broken. They're not, also outcast from society. On the outside, they're outside of, once again, they're outside of a church. So there's a whole system working, and you're not connected to that. Okay. So then this one, 5 of Cups. Some are upright, some are down. So some are spilt. So no point in crying over spilt milk. Grief, sadness, wishing things were different, but they're not. A bit similar from the 4 of Cups, but it's the next stage on. It's further on. Also, in one of the packs, I think it's the Druid pack, there's like a fish chasing after a smaller fish, and the fish is getting away. So I thought that's quite symbolic of this. In this, it's like there's danger as well with this card. Right. You're not out of the woods yet, So you've got to keep your wits about you, despite feeling low and grieving. Okay, this is one. Okay, so you know how like there's, you know, like in Pete Walker's book, there's 4 different types of narcissists. So there's addictions, there's antisocial behavior, there's narcissists, and there's borderlines. So this is one of the, what I realized is there's 4 cards of narcissism in the tarot pack, and this is one of them. So 5 of Swords is one of the cards of narcissism. It's win and losing. I win, you lose.
And he's stolen their swords from them.
Yeah.
After beating them, he took their weapons away.
Yeah, he does as well. It does in the 7 as well, but more so in the 7. Oh dear. I should have turned that off. 1 second. Okay. I can't make it big again. That one? How do I do it? I can't do it with one hand. Hold on a sec.
No problem.
There we go. All right. So yes, this is what have I done? Okay, that's better. Yeah, this is the card of winning and losing, shame, humiliation, making somebody feel bad, and just to get your kicks. You can see it on his face. He's happy about it. And
he's delighted with himself.
Yeah. So I would say this was, I won't say which one's which. Maybe I'll put a little note up, because I did sort of think about this quite hard and figured out which one was which. So if I was wrong, if that's not the borderline, I'll put a little notice up so people know. Okay. All right. So 5 of Wands.
I do not remember. No recollection whatsoever. It looks like a brawl.
But this also relates to you, because this is the card of martial arts as well. Okay. So fighting, having that inner turmoil, inner tension that you're not sort of releasing, a playful fight that turns, that could turn more aggressive. But you know, when someone says something and you're like, I didn't like that, and you sort of playfully say something back, and it's sort of getting worse and worse and worse and worse, and then all of a sudden you're about to erupt. This is that kind of energy just before the eruption. Right. There's also that same energy that kind of applies in sexual relationships when there's that sexual tension. And it's kind of been growing and growing and growing and growing. So this can also symbolize a fiery sexual relationship, this card. Okay. But yeah, or it can just be interpreted as a fight amongst family, fight amongst a bunch of people. But there's if you look at it energetically, it has those other interpretations as well.
So the interpretation you'd give that would really be dependent on the other cards you saw there in the spread for the person you were reading for. Yeah.
And also the question that was asked. And sometimes when people don't give me, because I read blind as well, if people don't want to tell me what the question is, I'm like, okay, let me just read blind. So when they lay it out, I just let my instinct take me to wherever it goes. And also, when you do see the cards in a line or in a spread, it does tell you a story. So it's quite easy for you to just tell the story of what you see, and it just comes.
Reading blind is always more impressive, I think, because everybody knows instinctively that if they ask you a question, you can, because they don't know what the cards say. They've no idea. That's why they're asking you to help them. So they know instinctively you could cold read them. And when you're reading blind and you offer it, you're like, well, the question relates to this. What's blocking you is this, but what's showing you is that. That really, I think reading blind is a great way to sort of show, especially for people who are cynical about tarot. I would say just if you have somebody in front of you cynical about tarot, do a blind reading for them.
I normally read blind initially. I'm like, let me do a general reading for you first. Don't tell me anything. Let's just do a general reading first. So the general reading is always blind. So I'm like, this is what I see. And then I say, does this make sense to you? And most of the time they're like, yeah, I mean, everything you said makes sense. And then they if they want to give me some information at that point, they do, and then we sort of go further.
Nice.
I'm not sure I would have gotten that a Mexican person did some black magic on you, though. I'm not sure that would have come up in that much detail.
I've only seen it in movies. I didn't really. I knew that there was like there was a different interpretation of Catholicism, and that there's Santorini, or But I think that's Cuban. But yeah, apparently there is actual.
Yeah,
You can
I'd
go
not
to
heard
Mexican
of.
witch doctors.
Yeah, I'd never heard of that before. I know, you know,
There's a whole system. Yeah.
never heard of it. I mean, obviously, I know about African witch doctors.
Mm-hmm.
My Malay friend had told me about the thing you mentioned. What was it called again?
Bomo magic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not, you should probably tell me after you told me though, not before. Anyway, okay. Let's go with this one. 6 of Pentacles, which is one you mentioned, the charity card.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you have the capacity to give, and you give.
It's also strings attached, though. You've got to be careful of strings attached with this, because if you're the giver, are you applying any strings? If you're the receiver, what strings are attached to the money that you're receiving? So these are things to think about.
Covert contracts. It sounds like the beginnings of some sort of codependent mess.
Yeah, it can be. But sometimes it can literally just mean, you know, maybe it's time for you to give a bit more. Give back to the community that gave to you. 6 of Cups.
What's the for the sixes generally? What's the overall theme for
Love?
For the sixes?
Lovers card, isn't it? Yeah, 6 is Lovers card. If you think of the 5, when we mentioned the 5, it's the Hierophant card, which is about secret knowledge. Again, traditions, things not being revealed. Like, imagine the 5 of Pentacles when they were outside that church. Think about the Hierophant, which is the secret knowledge and, you know, exclusivity.
Yes.
Yeah.
The elite priesthood that holds it back from everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The 6 is much nicer. 6 is a passionate card, a passionate number. Sorry, this is a card of children playing, free.
Oh, is that
innocence.
The 2 little kids?
Yeah.
Innocence. Yeah, I remember this one. This one is innocent giving, trying to live in the past. Going back to childhood, being able to be childlike with another person, which is all lovely. But then there was a warning of don't get lost in the daydream, don't get lost in the illusion that you can create together, as I recall.
Yeah. And sometimes it can be reconnected from people you knew from your childhood.
Right.
Especially lovers, reconnecting with previous lovers.
Literal people from your youth. Yeah.
Somebody might get in touch. Although these days, I don't know about you, these days I find that the people that I'm in touch with, they're sort of getting smaller and smaller. And in fact, those people from my schooling days, so I sort of that I did used to hear from before. I don't really hear from them anymore. Just my closest friends.
I'm not. I know that you're younger than me, but you're into your late 30s, isn't it?
I'm 2 years younger than you. That's all.
Oh, what moisturizer are you using?
I do have a great moisturizer. I do. I have a fantastic moisturizer.
You look a lot younger than me.
No, I'm just 2 years younger than you. I'm born in 80. The very first month.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, the what I found around age 36, 37 with that was just that a lot of people, they had been married and then they were having children. And, you know, I know what it's like living in a house with a girlfriend and a dog with stuff to do. It's so absorbing. And then I've lived in other people's houses where the small baby's there to be taken care of. And it just becomes, it's your whole world. And I think people just don't have any excess energy left. Especially if a lot of people do 2 kids who'll be like 3 or 4 years apart. And it's just, their head's just underwater then for about 6 years until the kids grow up and go to school.
Yeah. I'm sure. I'm not judging them at all, but it's just, I think what I'm saying is at this point in my life, a lot of people have just fallen away, and I've really narrowed in to just a handful of people who are really, really close with.
Yes.
6 of Wands. I've mentioned this already. This is one of the victory cards. So to me, it kind of means returning home victorious, having had my victory, and I'm coming home to share it with the people I love most.
Because of the wreath. It reminds me of Gladiator, one of the first scenes in Gladiator, where they're coming back after a successful battle to, congratulations and festivals and happiness and everything. So as the literal victory, but because it's the Wands, it's action, it's victory after action. So yeah.
Okay. The last 6 is this one.
Oh, this is a happy card. This is the happiest card of the swords. Everything is fine. You're going to be okay. all the swords in one place, and we have to make a journey across the water, across all that emotion and the unconscious gunk.
Precisely.
Where will we go, and will we ever come back? Probably not. This is a one-way. What I recall is being told, I think this is Rider-Waite interpretation, is this is probably a one-way trip.
Yeah. Absolutely. Everything you said. Transitioning from one state of affairs to a new state of affairs, and you're unlikely to go back. When this card comes up, so many times it's so obvious that you should not be in this relationship with somebody. But you know how you must have seen it a bazillion times, how you're saying it's so obvious that person has told you how bad it is. And the cards keep coming up, that along with the Eight of Cups, which also means leaving a bad situation. Those two cards come up for the people again and again and again. And they're like, yeah, but I love him so much. I just don't want to, and I'm like, okay, what do you want from me then?
So you've seen that when the Six of Swords comes up as well, particularly?
Six of Swords and Eight of Cups. When those two cards come, it's telling you, go, get out. When those two cards come together,
they must leave. One of the things that I would say from the codependency psychology world is, if the client knows that they can never go back, that if they leave, it's really, really over forevermore. I think that's quite hard for us as human beings to think, oh wow, that situation really is done. Even if it was awful, we sort of dread that inability to go back. Like it's going to be, there's something quite frightening about, what's behind you is gone and you'll never return to it ever again.
I understand that. I think what I'm saying is that they don't even want to contemplate it. They've come to ask these questions. Something's not right with their relationship, and they want a little exploration of what is happening with them. And when these cards come up, it's an opportunity for them to look at it and play with it and see what it invokes in them, in their imagination and in their system. And when I sort of point them in that direction, it's like, oh no, I'm not doing that. That's not, that's not even a possibility. So
you encounter a little resistance.
Just a tad, just a smidge. Which of course I understand. I'm used to it now. I just think it's really important to be able to stare down the issue directly. It's really important to do that, and most people don't do that.
I would think when it comes to the choice to use tarot, I don't think that we have a context culturally for really respecting it. And a lot of people will come and be like, I'll listen to it if it says what I want it to say, but if it says what I don't want it to say, fuck it, it's only the tarot. And you really should go in with the commitment that whatever these cards say, I will listen.
I have had that experience so many times, but it tends to be a certain type of people. It tends to be business owners. Business owners will come to me because they want to hear something in particular, and they won't leave me alone until I've said something similar to it. So, like if they ask a question and they get a certain card, no, can you ask again? Similar card, it might be a different card or the same card. Can we ask again? Or they'll say, that wasn't my question. My question is this, same question, but just phrased differently, right? And so they won't leave it alone. And then I'm thinking, I've asked this question. We've looked at the cards 8 times on this. And this time it's kind of more positive. And it's like, again, it's very difficult for me when people do that. But
that's pure narcissism, and it's a disrespect of the cards, of the process, and a disrespect of you. The cards are not, the spirit of the tarot doesn't care. My sense is it's quite cool. It will just tell you, ask me the question and I'll give you the answer, and then fuck off. Like it's your problem. It's not, I'm the tarot. That's your problem. It's not my problem. Keep asking me. I'll just start giving you gibberish because you're giving me gibberish. It's that lack of respect. Sometimes people really don't want to hear it, but then they're basically using the process as a kind of masturbatory tool to be like, oh, the tarot card said I'd be successful or whatever. When it comes to business people like me, entrepreneurs, you do have to be careful because there's tons of highly narcissistic, psychopathic types who think that they can just bend whatever the reality is around them to their will, and you can't. You have to be humble. You have to listen sometimes.
All right, so I'll speed up. Seven of Cups. This one's quite an easy one.
A card of illusion, right? It's you're lost in the fantasy of what you want, and you're projecting. You're doing an awful lot of projecting from the unconscious.
Yeah, and also options. Your various options are laid out in front of you. Which one do you choose? And each of these separate options, if you can ask somebody which one are you drawn to, and if they'll choose one, each of them has a different interpretation as well.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but I'm not going to go into that now. It's going to take too long, and I can't remember off the top of my head. Seven of Swords.
What are the sevens generally? What does the sevens generally represent?
What's the seventh tarot card here in the Major Arcana? Is it the Chariot? Yeah, it's the Chariot. Okay. So this is a very positive, powerful energy. Again, and it's lucky, isn't it? Lucky 7. We always think of being a lucky number. But so the sevens are about growth and movement. Again, it's a Chariot. So when you think of this card here, the 7 of Pentacles, it's about sowing the seeds for financial growth and what and planning for the future. Right. The 7 here he's stealing, but he's taking stuff. He's getting stuff, not in a positive way, not in a healthy way, but he's getting stuff. He's getting what he needs. This card can also mean returning to the scene of a crime, or having to go back to somewhere where it wasn't comfortable for you, or where somebody mistreated you.
It sounds like therapy. This is a therapy card.
I don't think of this card as a therapy card somehow. But it's not. This is one of the Narcissist cards, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah. One of the 4. Remember I said there's 4. That's one of them. 7 of Wands. This is about having the higher ground and being able to see what other people can't see, having the advantage as a result. So there are 6 people vying for your position, vying for your role, your job or whatever. And you're like, because you've been in the job role, you're in a far better position, for example.
So you're fighting, but there's a good chance you'll win, even though you're outnumbered.
Because you have the advantage. Yeah. Okay. 8s. We've looked at the this one already, the 8 of Cups, which is the card of needing to leave the scene. If you look at the way that the cups are laid out here and here, it's about, they're not balanced. They could easily be balanced with an 8, but they're not balanced because that's symbolic of the power and balance that was there, that was present in the relationship. And it didn't serve you. It's also the eclipse. You can see there's the sun and there's the moon there. So energies coalescing, but sometimes they work and sometimes they don't work. And right now, this is just a case of you eclipsing and going past each other and leaving, having to leave the scene.
It is not working. You should leave, kind of a thing.
Yeah. This is the card of. What do you think this is about?
I think I remember. Isn't this travel? The 9 of Wands, isn't it? Big movement and travel.
Yep.
They're flying, right? These are actually, well, some people say they're actually flying through the air.
Yeah, and can also be messages, communications. It's also the card of. What you said was absolutely right, but I don't feel like I need to say it as well because you've already said it. But no, you're absolutely right. It is about travel and speed and synchronicity as well. It's a very, very lucky card. It's a very lucky card. The 8s, by the way, are about fortune. The 8, the infinity. You mentioned last time that we spoke. It's also about the connection to the divine. So 8s are very lucky, in generally speaking. So yes, speed, synchronicity. Things move quickly. Things move in your favor. Things that if you're taking a risk, this is a positive card saying do it because it could, the divine energy is on your side and you'll be lucky. This 8, what does this mean to you?
I have a feeling this means go about your daily work, craftsmanship, and I thought it was if it came up in a reading, you'd say, keep doing your work, and that's going to keep doing what you are already doing, and it will pay off. And
learning. This is the kind of apprenticeship. Get better and better and better at what you're doing. Yeah. There's a few cards of learning. The Page of Pentacles, Eight of Pentacles, and Three of Pentacles. You know, the church, when they were outside rebuilding the church, that's also about learning as well. So yeah, this is the card of apprenticeship, developing your craft, getting better and better, and study. This one, Eight of Swords.
In the Osho Tarot, it was purely being imprisoned by guilt. It was actually a card of big time guilt, but I don't know what the Rider Waite is. Is it a card of guilt as well?
It can be. You just look at the person there.
Okay.
But, so this, generally speaking, is a card of restriction.
Right.
You're blind. Your arms are tied, and the swords are guiding you down a certain road because you don't have so much freedom, but your legs are free. Your legs are free, so you have more freedom than you realize. But yes, you're somewhat restricted. I think this is symbolic of the situation many people find ourselves in here in 2021.
Yeah, the restrictions and the isolation and everything. Yeah, it's a very Eight of Swords scenario, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay. The nines. The nines are about, although we have a 10 as well. The 10 is more of a return to the 1, but the 9 is the completion number. So 9 of Cups is the card of contentment. Push too far,
looks like
smugness.
a smug little man.
It's push too far, smugness, you see? Exactly. But he's got everything, yet there's a sense that something's missing. He's got everything, but the really important stuff he doesn't really have. He's got the stuff money can buy.
Yeah.
Okay. The Nine of Pentacles is the way I interpret this card. Should I go into it? Did you want to comment first?
Go ahead.
Well, I look at this card as the single woman who has all the resources to live life on her own terms. But Jen, I think this woman is single and not partnered up because she's the one who's wearing the trousers. She's the one that's doing it her way. And she's quite happy. I mean, she would like a relationship, but she's not desperate for it. This is a woman in her truly empowered state.
Nine of Pentacles. Okay, that's interesting.
And it doesn't even have to be a woman. It can be a man. It's just that sort of feminine energy, yin energy, rather than yang energy at that moment. Nine of Wands. What do you think?
He looks like he's been battered.
Yeah.
He looks like a fairly injured man. So the nine of Wands. I don't remember the Nine of Wands. I have to be honest.
He's still fighting though. He's got his wall is up, his defense is up. Yeah, he's been battered, he's been damaged, but he's still fighting. He's still standing his ground. And sometimes when this card comes, it's like stand your ground. You should. There is a little warning about paranoia with this card.
Okay.
But it's generally means stand your guard, stand your ground. Nine of Swords.
Worry. This is the card of worry and of being tortured by anxiety and thoughts of despair and terrible things that have happened in the past, terrible things that might happen in the future. Yes, I remember this one, worry.
Yeah. And oftentimes that worry is actually pointless. It's not necessary. It's worry that doesn't even pan out. Excuse me. So it's also about grief, insomnia, difficulty sleeping, nightmares or dreams that just overtake your life, unrestful state.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Nines can be a bit harsh, but it is coming to the close. But well, as you know, the close of the Ten of Swords isn't great.
Utter defeat. You've been battered, betrayed, and you are done. You are absolutely done with the
card
of
ruin. Yeah. Yeah. So this is a
that's the end of Hamlet. That's how Hamlet ends up. Completely destroyed. They've killed his kids. They've killed his wife. Or the wife has killed herself, and he's ruined by the end.
Yeah. This is not a good card, people. I think you can tell.
Did I say Hamlet or Macbeth? It's Macbeth that's ruined at the end. Sorry.
Yeah, but Macbeth dies because he believes the prophecy to his own detriment. Hamlet dies as well, but he gets killed by... Who does he get killed by? I can't remember now.
I can't remember. Isn't that the thing with Hamlet, is the person who kills him actually isn't a major character? That's part
right.
of the tragedy. Yeah, that's part of the tragedy is he has this, it's almost like his own pride, his own self-obsession is the thing that gets him killed.
You know what I find funny about Hamlet is the old people that play him. He's meant to be like 20 years old or 15 years
It's
old.
bonkers. You know, did a good job. Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson did a really good youthful, because he played him as the young, because he's kind of a jock. Like Hamlet's he's an intellectual, but he's a jock. He's an athlete, and Mel Gibson did a great job with him. Great job of playing. Yeah, he shouldn't be played by things. Yeah,
a movie. I never saw that movie. I must check that out.
Yeah, it's great. It's I don't know how young Mel Gibson was, but they maybe he's 30, but they youthed him up, and then he just does an amazing job of this high energy, athletic, sort of ADHD, and completely obsessed young man who is destined for ruin.
I don't think Shakespeare is easy to do on film at all. I think Baz Luhrmann did a fantastic job with Romeo and Juliet, but it was very similar to, not similar, but you could see the throwbacks to the Zeffirelli one, Franco Zeffirelli movie from the 1968. But I mean, Baz Luhrmann, I thought, smacked it with the Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, so it was good, and it's the right way to do it, because it had more magical realism in it, which is right, because you're supposed to be portraying the theatre. Nobody's standing in the theatre thinking, "Oh, this is real." So you have to portray that on film. You need elements of magical realism.
Whereas Kenneth Branagh does it more sort of traditionally. I mean, he's not bad, but it's not as magical to watch. No,
it's not. Othello was good, where Kenneth Branagh is playing the baddie. That was good, but no, you're right. I mean, you're 100% right. It should have an element of excess and magical realism, and it should be of the moment. It should be modern, because it was modern when Shakespeare did it.
I don't think people get Shakespeare, generally speaking. Even when people put it on the theatre, I think a lot of people don't get. I don't know. Maybe I don't get it. It's possible I don't get it.
No, I think you're right. I remember going when we were 15. We actually met the Royal Shakespeare Company, and they did like a little chat with us first, and then we saw The Tempest. But when they showed The Tempest, the rest of the crowd came in, and one of my mates said to me, "Listen to how people laugh at Shakespeare's jokes. They're not funny anymore, but they're laughing to demonstrate that they understand that that's where a joke is, and it becomes." It's out of time. I mean, and there's a performative element to it. Like, haha, I understand that when he asks if she's a maid, he's asking, "Are you a woman? Are you a virgin?" And you just think, don't laugh. It's not funny. Just sit there.
Yeah. But also, I think there's a lot of pretentiousness. Just even when the people are putting the plays on themselves, and. Oh, I won't go into it, but it just really bothers me. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've walked out of a Shakespearean show. Like, so many times. I'm like, this is just not, and I don't care about anybody in this. And I'm like, I know this play. I know what's supposed to happen, but I just don't feel connected to this. So I just walk out. I walk out so many times.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's fair enough. I think it's completely fair enough, because it's really hard to recapture it in any way that's authentic, and especially when you have people who have chosen to do it in this way, it's like, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I won't go on. 10 of Wands.
10 of Wands, you are holding a massive amount of stress, possibly trying to hold together a situation that's coming apart, maybe even a secret. That's the way I would have interpreted
it. Yeah. Overburdened, you're about to break. It can also mean back pain. It can also mean back pain, but because you're carrying more than you can bear. So you can delegate. There are people there who can help, but you haven't asked them.
People who carry secrets can end up with back pain psychosomatically.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, liars and cheats and betrayers and informants can often end up with back trouble.
Okay. It's interesting. I was listening to some Louise Hay earlier, so she talks about all that sort of stuff.
I love Louise Hay. Louise
Hay. 10 of Cups.
The great winning of victorious love forevermore and happily ever after.
Happily ever after. Yeah, exactly. It's a beautiful card. I think of this as the happy family card with the two children playing under the rainbow.
Mm. Mm.
And this is a very similar card to that other one, 10 of Pentacles.
So I would have said that this is a card of abundance and shows that you're going to make money, but I'm not confident. Is that the correct interpretation?
It is. It's also about property legacies as well, like legacies of family, creating a legacy and passing it down. Property transactions. When you get down to the nitty gritty, it can also mean making a move to the country, living where there's lots of different people of all ages, like the old people, the children, people of middle ages, all different ages living together, coexisting in a community lifestyle, which is quite idyllic. It's a very, very good card. Nice. Okay, so we have done the pip cards, as they call them. We haven't done the 16 archetype cards of the core cards, basically. So I thought we'll do that another time. But thank you very much for joining me today on looking at the minor arcana. And I look forward to seeing you for the very last section, because we've done the major already. So thank you very much for joining us, everybody. If you want to find Richard, he is on YouTube, Richard Grannon Philosophy, and you've got your main channel as well, just Richard Grannon on YouTube.
That's correct.
And you are the Spartan Life Coach. So if people can find you there as well, SpartanLifeCoach.com, is it?
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah, SpartanLifeCoach.com.
And you can find me at ZakariyaAdeel.com. And I am your humble host, and I will be with you next time here on the Zakariya Adeel podcast. Until then, bye-bye.